Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're feeling absolutely overwhelmed, constantly distracted, and completely burnt out by modern digital life, I want you to know something right now. You are definitely not alone. If you feel like a chaotic, frazzled stickman right now, honestly, that is pretty much all of us on a typical Tuesday afternoon. We are constantly searching for a way out of the noise. But the way the tech elite are trying to fix their distracted minds, well, it's intense, it's highly controversial, and it's actually built on a massive misunderstanding of ancient wisdom.
Okay, so let's dive right into this by asking the ultimate question. Why on earth are the wealthiest, most comfortable tech billionaires on the planet deliberately taking freezing cold showers? Why are they purposefully making themselves miserable? It turns out this extreme pursuit of suffering is part of a massive trend that is sweeping straight through the corporate world.
We're talking about fasting for days on end, plunging into literal ice baths, extreme dopamine detoxes, and going on weeks-long silent retreats. These intense practices, they aren't just fringe health fads anymore. They've become major bragging rights in Silicon Valley. It's almost turned into this weird arms race of who can endure the most self-imposed hardship. But why are they doing it? Section 1. The Silicon Valley Stoic Hack. To figure out where these intense routines actually come from, we have to travel back over 2,000 years. So, it all traces back to this concept called voluntary discomfort. Basically, this is the practice of self-imposing physical or mental hardship to build your individual resilience, focus, and productivity. And it's a genuine, ancient academic reality. It was a core part of the philosophy known as Stoicism. But today it's been totally co-opted into a modern tech strategy. It's been neatly packaged up into a productivity life hack. And here is the blunt truth about how it's being used right now. The modern application of this ancient philosophy is almost entirely about surviving brutal corporate culture and, frankly, increasing personal wealth. By artificially subjecting themselves to pain, like, say, an ice bath, tech executives actually believe they're optimizing their mental performance so they can outcompete everyone else in these insane, high-stress environments.
Section 2. The allure of voluntary discomfort. Let's explore why these specific ancient ideas are just so incredibly appealing to today's tech professionals.
Marcus Aurelius, who was a Roman emperor and a very famous Stoic, he wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the ancient Stoic appeal. It's the ultimate promise of invincibility. It basically tells an overwhelmed worker that you can take absolute total control of your internal reactions, even if the entire world around you is absolute chaos. In Stoicism, there's this fundamental dichotomy of control. You cannot control external chaos. You can't control corporate reorganizations or endless phone notifications or train delays, but you can control your internal state, right? Your mindful breathing, your physical endurance, how you regulate your emotions. You can see exactly why this framework draws in overwhelmed professionals like a magnet. It gives them their power back.
Section 3. Stripping away the ethics. Now here is the real intellectual plot twist. Silicon Valley is actually getting it completely wrong. They've essentially taken the shiny, productive parts of the philosophy and totally left behind the soul. Tech elites hacked the practice of Stoicism, sure, but they completely deleted the ethics. By turning these incredibly deep philosophical teachings into selfish productivity hacks, they've stripped away the fundamental purpose of the whole thing.
Let's just contrast these two directly for a second. Modern Silicon Valley Stoicism focuses heavily on individual wealth, gaining career status, and treating suffering as a way to just get ahead of the pack. Classical Stoicism, however, focused on the community good and the cultivation of moral virtue. They actually treated wealth as utterly indifferent. In fact, classical Stoics explicitly warned against greed and hoarding. So modern hustle culture has strayed incredibly far from the actual ancient wisdom. To really drive this home, let's look at Zeno of Citium, the literal founder of Stoicism. When Zeno envisioned a perfect society in his work called The Republic, it was radically different from modern capitalism. His utopia had no private property, no money whatsoever, citizens took only what they needed, and the absolute focus was on the community over the individual. It's a highly surprising fact that directly contradicts this whole modern Stoic billionaire narrative we see today.
Section 4. The rise of McMindfulness. Let's see how this builds into an even larger corporate trend, one that is probably affecting millions of workers right now, maybe even you.
Because it's not just Stoicism that's been hacked, it's Buddhism too. Sociologist Ronald Purser coined this brilliant term for it, McMindfulness. He defines it as Buddhist wisdom that has been stripped of its ethical teachings on compassion and co-opted by corporations as a technique for social control and pacification. Basically, instead of helping workers awaken to systemic problems, companies are using meditation to just keep everybody quiet and compliant.
This quote from Purser's critique is just incredibly powerful. He writes, "Mindfulness has depoliticized and privatized stress. We are repeatedly sold the same message that individual action is the only real way to solve social problems." Think about that. It is profoundly unfair to tell a worker that their stress from being overworked, wildly underpaid, and drowning in debt is simply because they just aren't mindful enough. So the crucial takeaway here is this. Corporations are offering these McMindfulness solutions specifically to avoid fixing the toxic systems they created in the first place. Got endless overwork? Hey, just take a deep breath and center yourself. Unfair wages? Well, happiness is an inside job. Toxic environment? Here, use this app to build your resilience. The burden gets entirely shifted right back onto the individual. Section 5, Ancient Wisdom, Modern Traps. If the corporate versions are so heavily flawed, how do we actually fix this? Let's look at how we can use these ancient practices correctly to navigate our modern digital traps without entirely losing our minds. The renowned Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh offered this incredible warning about the technology age. He stated that we need to treat sensationalist media and endless notifications like literal physical toxins. Just as you wouldn't knowingly drink poison, you shouldn't blindly consume outrage-inducing algorithms that poison your mental state with anxiety and anger. We have to be deeply, deeply intentional about our consumption. So, here are 3 practical steps from our sources to protect your attention from the extraction engines of social media. Step 1. Intercept your impulsive habits using physical friction. Put your phone in another room and use an old-school analog alarm clock. Step 2. Use a mindfulness bell, just a gentle alarm every few hours to break your digital trance and reconnect with the present moment. And Step 3. Treat your media consumption with the exact same strict hygiene as your daily diet. And here is a surprising shift from all the hustle culture advice we normally hear. Ready? Stop trying so hard. The ancient Chinese concept of Wu Wei translates roughly to effortless action. And cognitive science actually supports what early Chinese philosophers knew all along, that when it comes to happiness or sleep or even social charm, pushing harder and consciously striving actually backfires. Sometimes the absolute best way to succeed is to just allow for spontaneous, effortless action. Section 6. Reclaiming True Philosophy. We are nearing the end of our explainer today, so let's tie this all together. Let's move away from life hacks and get back to actually living well. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus tells us, the true man is revealed in difficult times, to turn you into Olympic-class material. This is such a vital reminder. Enduring difficulty and practicing voluntary discomfort isn't meant to just earn you a corporate promotion or make you a more compliant worker for your boss. It's meant to test you, to build genuine fortitude, and to forge a virtuous character. To summarize, the real goals of these ancient teachings are profound. It's about dissolving the ego, not inflating it. It's about enacting deep, genuine compassion for others. It's about having the courage to call out unjust systems rather than just silently adapting to them. And ultimately, it's about finding true inner peace. It has always been about the community, not just the individual. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought to reflect upon today. As you navigate your busy life, ask yourself, are you using philosophy and mindfulness just to optimize your productivity? Or are you using it to actually become a better human being? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this sparks a brand new way of looking at your daily habits. Catch you next time.